It's not very often that we get the opportunity to sell a car like this for a Bathurst-winning legend like Mr. Greg Murphy here. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about his '69 Dodge Charger that we've got behind us, which is a car we're going to be selling shortly on Collecting Cars and our new sealed bids platform. So to get started, I thought we'd ask him a little bit about his car and how did this sort of car come to be?
I've always been a '69 Dodge Charger fan. It comes from growing up watching Dukes of Hazzard, that and a GMC A-Team van with my two dream vehicles. So it took me till 2007. I was actually talking to a friend in Queenstown. We were talking about cars. He said, what would be your dream car? And I said, '69 Charger. I'd really love one of them. He sent me a link to a Trade Me 69 Charger for sale. I looked at it, rang a friend of mine in Auckland, Steve Neuer from Moselle Panel and Paint. And I said, could you go and have a look at this car for me? It was out west Auckland somewhere, can't remember exactly. So he and Bryce Hilton, Bryce is an amazing, beautiful car guy. They went and had a look at this car. Bog standard 69 Charger, I think it had a 383 in it, nothing special, like I think it was an SE maybe, might have even had a vinyl roof. And they went and looked at it and said, listen, this car is immaculate.
Yep.
If you're going to buy one, you need to buy it. So I bought it. Car went to Moselle Panel and Paint. First time I saw it in the flesh, it was bare metal.
Hopefully no rust.
Nothing. It was immaculate. So the process began from there, and I was not very good at leading the charge on the whole thing at that point. I had an idea in my head about what I wanted. As I say, I was sort of probably the problem there, procrastinating around exactly what I was wanting to do. And then I went to SEMA in 2014. Went with the guys from Moselle Panel and Paint, and that's when I was first initiated to the Ring brothers, Mike and Jim Ring. They launched a '66 Chevelle at the time called Recoil, and that was the car that basically just transfixed me on the Ring brothers. Recoil was just something that was just out of this world. I just couldn't stop looking at it. You know, Mike and Jim were there, just low-key blokes, just doing and providing people with incredible ideas and builds. I came back from SEMA and had again started to really get a little bit more focused on what I was going to do with the car, because it was still sitting in bare metal. Yeah, I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know how I was going to get it. Basically, I'd broken my leg over summer in 2000 and into 2017.
Doing something silly?
Riding a dirt bike, riding a motorbike. I was looking at Ring Brothers stuff, and I was like, you know what, stuff it. Yeah. I need to send them an email. Yeah. Email came back basically the next day. Yeah. We were on the phone within a week, and basically the decision was made about getting the car over there and doing it. So with the help of Steve and Bryce from Moselle's, we prepared it. So it was basically a rolling body. Yeah. We had the Art Morrison chassis here.
Okay, you'd already sourced that.
We'd had that. We'd had that in New Zealand. So it was sitting on top of the Art Morrison chassis. It wasn't unibodied at that stage. We stuck the engine in a crate. We had a gearbox, other bits and pieces, a lot of other sort of detailing, the chrome work and bits and pieces that had actually, some of it had already been redone. And we boxed it all up and stuck it in a crate and sent it to America. And it arrived in Wisconsin, at Spring Green, Wisconsin, at Ring Brothers' small town. I think it was just between Christmas and New Year 2018.
You bought the car in
'07, so it was 11 odd years or more.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was a long process of it sitting around. So they got stuck into it pretty well straight away. We went and visited over there in 2019 on a bit of a road trip, and that's where the click really happened. The just wonderful people, and we really gelled with them, and they gelled with us, and we built a friendship well beyond cars. We've built a really strong bond.
How do Ring Brothers work? Did they steer you in the direction of how to spec the car and formulate a plan to end up where we got to now? So how did that process work with Ring Brothers?
When I first spoke to them, I referenced Recoil, the Chevelle, a lot around how that looked. Just a classic shape, absolute dead set classic shape that was retained, but just had some features on it that modernised it.
Nothing with a crazy wide body and things bolted
nothing
to it.
moved too much in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
But, you know, and so we went down that path, and then Gary Regal was brought into it, and he started, you know, drawing up some designs on what he thought. You know, I had some specifics. I wanted a little front spoiler. I wanted a diffuser on the back.
Yep.
I wanted the exhaust coming out where they were, which was actually a recoil thing. And I wanted to retain the undeniable 69 Charger. And keep it, you know, really much in its originality and you know, as much as possible. As far as what I wanted and how I wanted it done, Mike Ring, he got it. He got my idea, and I think that's because they had built cars with this very similar kind of mindset of design. The initial intention was to actually put a Dodge NASCAR restrictor plate engine in it. My idea was to do this engine, and you know, and that's because I suppose it's my past with racing. There was that connection with the race side of things. Quickly realised that idea was a pretty ludicrous
optimistic
and the amount of work and effort that was going to go into making that work and making it a daily driver kind of situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Was just it just wasn't logical. They got the car, they pulled it all out, and it was one of the first decisions. Like, this is what we think you should do. We'll get a crate engine from Mopar. And it'll be in, and it'll be, and I'm like,
keep it Dodge.
Instantly done.
Yeah.
And so that decision was made very quickly and early on the piece. And basically when the decision was made, 2 days later, it's arrived by UPS in Spring Green.
Best thing about building them in America. Everything's right there, ready to go.
And that's why, you know, I knew that it was a good decision to make because of those reasons.
And so it was with Ring Brothers for about 3 years, was it?
Yeah, it dragged out, and that's why it's got the name Captive, because they all their cars are named, and basically we started laughing about the fact that they were holding it hostage, and then we came up with the word Captive, and the car didn't get back here to New Zealand until May 2022. So it was away for a little while, longer than what they would have liked it to be. Yeah, and but it was okay for me.
So talking about that bodywork, obviously it's had a lot of work. So you were saying, how long was that process for the bodywork? How many hours was in that sort of thing to get it looking like this? I mean, the panel gaps are perfect. Like, if anyone's ever had a look at this, and we'll put some content in about it, the whole car, every little gap is perfect. Everything lines up. They're all perfect. There's clearly been a lot of time and effort gone into this car.
And it was a good car to start with, so that helped. But Bryce Hilton is responsible for a lot of that. You know, the time that he put into it, I don't know how many hours. I hope he never kept track of it. It'd be quite horrible to know. They just sort of very much admire him for what he did to the car before it got sent back to the US. They'd never received a donor that was in such perfect condition. So that obviously fast tracked a lot of their time, so they didn't have to start from scratch.
They could build the car as opposed to fixing it to start with.
Correct. It was in a state that they needed it to be.
Massive for some of the guys in New Zealand that have helped build this car as
well.
Oh,
totally.
These are world-class, world-famous car builders, and for some of these little shops in New Zealand that most people have never heard of to be getting that kind of accreditation.
We do have, and this is a thing that happens is everyone's got opinions, but the world-class ability of fabricators, body guys here in New Zealand, they're as good as anywhere in the world. There is no doubting that at all, and I've seen some of the work I've seen is just phenomenal.
We've referenced the Powertrain a couple of times. Tell us about this lump we've got sitting in here, supercharged Hemi 6.2. So Hellcat engine, right?
Bog standard, straight from the crate, straight in there. Hellcat 707 horsepower, whatever they are. And I mean, why you need any more than that? I don't know. It's just turnkey. Bang. T56 Tremac.
6-speed manual
on the back of it. A lot of people ask, if you kept it left-hand drive. It's like, I don't even know why that's a question. That would just blasphemy changing this car to right-hand drive. So it drives as you'd expect. QA1 carbon tail shaft. Just a big massive bloody diff in the back. I can't remember exactly what that is, but that was all supplied with Art Morrison when the chassis came through. So yeah, it does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and like you say, I mean, compared to the original NASCAR engine plan, which would have been somewhat temperamental and, you know, starting it in the cold and that sort of stuff, the best thing about this is it's a brand new car with modern electronics and fuel injection. It's jump in and start it and haze the tyres at will.
Runs the ECU that came with it, the bog standard ECU, and then it's just it's connected through to the Motec dash and everything. All the they just basically plug and play into, and all the sensors are there, delivering all the information that's required.
We reference the interior as well. I mean, the work that's gone into this is pretty phenomenal, and it looks like a brand new car, but it's kept a lot of the really cool driving positions and the themes. I love the Motec digital dash with the, you know, the Charger graphics, and it almost looks like it's vinyl wrapped still, but built into a digital dash. There's been a lot of effort that go into it. Tell us a little bit about this. I mean, is that a carbon steering wheel the car's got?
I needed to have an interior that, you know, that suited the car and suited the level of build of the car, and you know, so I had ideas in my head. I wanted to digitise the dash, and had great support from Motec to do that as well. So the bezel obviously was basically designed on CAD at Ring Brothers, so they drew that up. And you know, did a couple of different versions, and it was like, man, that's the go. And so the bezel is, you know, obviously bespoke to house the Motec, and we went from there. So and then a steering wheel maketh the car as well, and that was a big part of what we needed to do to try and you know, just get those little finishing pieces done. So we started a process there of design and went through, you know, a period of coming up with different concepts. Everything was just machined by Ring Brothers at Wisconsin in Spring Green. So you know, that's the beauty of having a whole bunch of CNCs, you know, there pumping out all sorts of different pieces and things.
Very clever people.
So that was really critical, and we've kept it obviously very, very clean in there. If you notice the little piece of New Zealand though, as well as the Fusion.
I did notice that. I did wonder about that.
Beautiful black. Just when it's turned off, you can't even really see it until it's there. So the audio side of thing for me comes from under the bonnet, so I didn't really need a monstrous, powerful sound system.
Yeah, no, these exhausts down here do a pretty reasonable job of that.
So there's a couple of hidden speakers, and there is an amp. I don't even know where it is. It's hidden somewhere in the car. But I've only had the radio on a couple of times, so I wouldn't really know.
One thing that blew my mind is it doesn't even sound like a new car. The way Ring Brothers have routed this exhaust, and you know, it sounds like it could be a classic big block Charger. It doesn't sound like a modern car. It's very interesting. I love the little the captive badge built into the dash.
Yeah, little jail cell that it's got on it.
It's there's some very clever little touches, and you can see where a lot of the attention to detail goes with Ring Brothers, and the amount of work they've put into this. You can see that it's not something that's taken lightly, and certainly not something that they do just willy-nilly. They think about every piece of the car.
I think it's 5,000 plus hours, you know, from their side.
One of the things I've noticed about this car is there is a lot of very cool little touches. These rear-mounted exhausts, so those were from the car you saw at SEMA, correct?
Yeah, the idea was, so they're quite similar to recoils, you know, behind the rear wheel exhaust system. I've sort of got a bit of a thing about the back of cars and how they look, and if you notice, you know, it's got a reasonably sized diffuser that goes a long way under the car, because you know how, you know, when you're following it, you're wanting, you know, the detail of it is really important. So you know, putting an exhaust out the back, how we were going to do that,
where do you route it?
It was a really simple thing for me to on what I wanted was where I wanted to put that to keep the back of the car really, really clean.
And then it's got sort of custom LED tail lights they've built for it as well. I noticed that when it was moving around, they look like a Charger tail light until they turn on, and then they're this beautiful, bright, modern light coming through them.
And the, you know, the headlight covers obviously on a Charger 68, 69 Charger, and others as well, was, you know, they were vacuum operated back in the day. So, you know, they've now got...
You're telling me they're not anymore?
Electric sort of motors in there that drive the front covers and bits and pieces. And all that detail stuff for me is really important.
And then we've got these massive HRE wheels. 3-piece wheels, 2 3-piece wheels?
Something like that.
They're plenty big enough. And so those were custom made for the car, I assume?
Yeah, so again, I mean, I kept going back to recoil as my sort of base.
Your inspiration.
And so the wheel on that car, I just started to look at and go, you know, that wheel is really cool. The thing about it is it actually has a ring that sits around the spokes, connects all the spokes, just a really thin ring, and they machine into the spoke a sort of a set for this ring to sit, and then it's screwed in. And so I just said, what if we take that ring off and see what the wear? And that's basically what we did. So big chunky 5-spoke.
Classic 5-spoke wheel.
And HRE just, they amazing partner of Ring Brothers, and they just they said, yeah, we can do that. But getting also then the chrome with the black, as you can see, is it's got black badging, black mirrors, black door handles, but we've still got the chrome around the windows, and then chrome bumpers with the black and everything too. So I just can't believe how well it turned out.
Absolutely. I mean, look, you've done an incredible job with like you say, with the colour combo, because it's a very difficult thing to do, to have a car with lots of black detailing, and normally a car either has chrome or it has black. But this car, you almost don't notice the chrome on it. The black is the hero, but because you've got the chrome lips and little touches, it all is quite cohesive. Billet, custom-made Ring Brothers mirrors, and obviously we've got massive brakes and the QA1 suspension from Art Morrison.
And Bayer 6-pop calipers and stuff in there too. So the colour was something that, again, deciding on a colour for something like this was hugely challenging, and that was something Mike Ring and I spent months working on. And so I started sending him different ideas and bits and pieces, and he ended up mixing up a variant of what is a Porsche colour, signal yellow. So it's an
classic Porsche 911 colour.
Option colour for Porsche. But we changed it slightly. So it's
a non-metallic. It looks like quite a flat colour.
It's a very deep colour. And he painted up some swathes and bits and pieces, and I didn't see it in the flesh, but he showed me stuff we showed it on video, and he goes, I know which one I want. And he said, which one do you want? And I picked the same one as him. So that was, and so therefore it was done. He said, trust me, this thing is going to be. And so we came up with that. Now the car, when it was finished, they were doing a test drive, and it drove it down the end of the street, and someone was looking at the car and crashed into another car. And so they've nicknamed the colour Pile Up Yellow because it caused a pile up.
No, it's very cool. And look, the best thing about something like that classic signal yellow is that it is fundamentally an old colour, and it suits the body style.
It suits a Dodge, it suits Mopar.
And you're not trying to make the car look too modern.
With the badging, the Ring Brothers logo, if you look quickly, you could mistake it for RT. But it's, obviously it wasn't an RT. But where we've positioned it and where we've put them on the, just on the back of the car, on the rear guards, the RB logo as well. It's a little bit RT-ish in that respect, so paying homage to that a bit. So that's pretty cool. There's a cool little badge on the back of it as well, which is made in America ×2. So originally made in America, and then went back to get remanufactured.
It's done 2 laps of the world.
Greg,
thank you so much for taking us around your pretty stunning 69 Charger. We've learnt a lot about it, and you can clearly see. So this car, as I mentioned at the start, this is going to auction with collecting cars on sealed bids. We're going to hopefully find a new home for it. He's going to have to deal with that, unfortunately. There'll be some tears, but we'll...
There will be.
He's still got the T-shirt. That doesn't come with the car, but for the right price, maybe. So early in the new year, in 2026, this 69 Dodge Charger is going to auction, and we can't wait to find a new home for it.